Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am the grumpy old hermit. On this channel I am going to talk about things like atheism, religion, news and politics, and kind of whatever suits my interest at the time. I hope you enjoy the content. If you do, please consider leaving a like. And if you are feeling particularly generous, please subscribe. So without further ado, let's get into it. Can a perfect God exist? Hi everyone and welcome. Let's dive right in. Is it possible that a perfect God exists? I am going to say no. So let's see why I think that. When discussing perfection in relation to God, various theological and philosophical perspectives come into play. Here are some key aspects often associated with divine perfection. Omniscience. God is often described as all-knowing, possessing complete and perfect knowledge of everything past, present, and future. This includes knowledge of all possible outcomes and the inner thoughts of all beings. Omnipotence. Divine perfection includes being all-powerful, having unlimited ability to do anything that is logically possible. This means God can create, sustain, and govern the universe without any limitations. Omnibenevolence. God is considered perfectly good, embodying ultimate moral excellence and love. This aspect of perfection means that God's actions are always just, merciful, and aimed at the ultimate good. As you can see, these are the main characteristics by which Christians describe God. Let's look at a few ways that the God of Abraham fails on all these attributes. We can start with Genesis and the Garden of Eden. When God created the garden, He put in the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He then put Adam and Eve into the garden and told them they could eat anything, including from the tree of life. But He forbids them to eat from the tree of knowledge. Then a talking snake came along and convinced Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge. Now, I know a lot of people have a problem with the talking snake, and hear me out here. If Eve could eat whatever she wanted in the garden, it is possible she found a certain mushroom. If she ate one, well, I can attest that if you eat those mushrooms, a talking snake is entirely in the realm of possibility. So Eve ate from the tree and thought, you know who would love this? Adam. Adam would love this. So she gave Adam a bite. After that, all hell breaks loose. God gets super pissed and decides to curse them both and to kick them out of the garden and make them toil in the harsh lands around them. So this is the basic story. Let's analyze it and see if we can find an imperfect God. First, there is the problem of His omniscience. God put the tree of knowledge in the garden even when He knew that Adam would eat from the tree. There was no way for God not to know. Even with free will on Adam's part, omniscience means God knew what the outcome would be before He even made Adam. So free will played no role. It then follows that if God knew Adam would eat from the tree and allowed it to happen, then God was unjust in His punishment, as Adam had no way to not eat from the tree. God also told Adam that if he ate from the tree, he would, quote, surely die on that day, unquote. Adam did not die on that day. As a matter of fact, the snake even told them that if they ate from the tree, they would not die. So the only one who lied that day was God. Does a perfect being lie? So now we have established that God put the tree in the garden, knowing absolutely that Adam would eat from it, which it then follows that God knew He would punish Adam even before Adam committed the sin. None of this makes sense with a perfect God. Then we have the problem of the punishment. When Adam and Eve ate from the tree, they did not yet have the knowledge of good and evil. Therefore, they could not have understood what it would mean to disobey. I mean, after Adam ate the fruit, he might have said, oh shit, I don't think I should have done that. But before he ate it, he would not have had the slightest idea what wrong even was. So then, to show His absolute justice, love and mercy, He cursed the snake and all its descendants to crawl on their bellies. Eve was given increased pain in childbirth and a desire for her husband who would rule over her. And Adam was cursed with hard labor to produce food from the ground. In what way is any of this just? Let me illustrate my objections with an analogy. Let us say you have a small child. We will say he is 4. Now, this child has no idea at this point in his life what right and wrong are. It is the parent's job to teach him. So now say Dad puts some delicious warm chocolate chip cookies on the table where the child is playing, and Dad says in a gruff voice to show he is serious, "Don't you dare eat those cookies," and then leaves the room. First off, I probably do not need to tell you the outcome. Of course, the kid eats the cookies. When Dad comes back, he is angry. But Dad understands that the kids did not really mean to do something wrong. That is because Dad understands the child has limited knowledge. So maybe the dad will explain to the child why it was wrong. Maybe even give the kid a brief timeout. But do you know what the dad would not do? He would not throw the kid out into the wilderness and tell him good luck. This would be especially true if the dad loves his son. Dad would do his best to correct his son and move on. This shows that God is neither good, just loving, or merciful. In short, not omnibenevolent. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to showing how God is not a perfect being. For example, one other thing we will touch on here is whether an omniscient being can have regret or doubt. One example, which is an obvious one, is when Jesus is on the cross and has doubts. He even asks why God has forsaken him. According to Christians, Jesus is God and God is Jesus. So Jesus knows for certain that he is not forsaken. And why would God have any doubts at all about it? He already knows the outcome. There is no room for doubt at all. Does not seem like an omniscient God to me. And lastly, how can a perfect being have regrets? God knows and controls every possible outcome. And before everyone starts shouting free will, I will just stop you there and say the free will line is bullshit. I will make another video covering free will and why the Christian version of it is not true and just a self-imposed illusion. But God has had regrets. For example, Genesis 6:7, the Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them. 1 Samuel 15:11, I regret that I have made Saul king, because he has turned away from me and has not carried out my instructions. This verse refers to God's regret over appointing Saul as the first king of Israel. And by the way, the instructions that Saul did not carry out, well, that was to slaughter everyone in the city and all the livestock. Saul left some alive. What an all-loving God. Am I right? So all this shows that the Christian God is not an omni-God. He is not even a good God. But he was never supposed to be. The original Hebrew stories show that Yahweh was just another Semitic storm god, part of a larger pantheon, which I will get into in a future video. But for now, I think I have shown why I do not believe that Christian God exists, at least in the characteristics as described by Christians. Tell me what you think. Feel free to comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.